Yeah, I'm not sure what's going on this morning. I tried to wait for Cameron, but I don't see him. I ain't heard from him. See what happens. All right, and good morning. So, yeah, just me this morning. How y'all doing? So, Steve looks like he was having a conversation about somebody who's incapable of logic or honesty. Unfortunately, it looks like that conversation started before the chat was visible. But, so, what are we talking about today? Well, it is, uh, it is election day. So, basically, all over America today, there are primaries going on. These are, we're looking at the primaries going into the 2022 midterms. And it's a good bet that what we're going to see this year going into the midterms is going to be a bloodbath to rival 2010. If you guys remember, 2010, Obama had been president for 2 years, and there was a massive red wave win, spurred on primarily by the Tea Party. And just funny little anecdote. It was probably 5 or 6 years after all that happened that I learned that the Tea Party wasn't just a reference to the Tea Party, but it was ostensibly an acronym for the expression "taxed enough already," which pretty much pretty much plays into the whole spirit of the original Tea Party itself. And that's something that you need to keep in mind when you go vote today. Sergeant Major says vote against the incumbent. I Old man, I love you. I wish it could be that simple. Um, the fact of the matter, with our incumbents here in Georgia, I'm not a fan of Kemp. I'm not. I liked him when he first ran. We've talked about this on the show before, but he's made some he's made some pretty unforgivable errors in his time. But right now, it looks like Kemp is basically going to walk away with the primary. And I'm not going to vote for Stacy Abrams. So, as much as I would like to vote against the incumbent, the fact of the matter is, if the incumbent is a Republican, right? I mean, in the primary, hell yeah, vote against the incumbent in the primary. But we cannot tolerate any more power being accrued by psychopaths like Stacy Abrams and her ilk. So instead of drilling down on specific candidates this morning, I want to talk about elections generally. And I'm not going back to relitigate the 2020 election. I'm not gonna make any claims about whether or not that election was legitimate. But I want to point some things out that I want everybody to understand. And right off the rip, if for whatever reason this episode gets me thrown off of YouTube for a week or two, I want to say right up front, in that case, YouTube is not not censoring disinformation. If this show gets thrown off of YouTube, then what YouTube is doing is voter suppression. Because here's the case I'm going to make. After the 2020 election, we had Linwood and now I'm forgetting the woman's name. Damn it. Linwood and the woman that said she had the Kraken. Sidney Powell. Linwood and Sidney Powell came to Georgia. These are both longtime Democrat voters, Democrat donors, basically professional Democrats. These people hate you. They came down here and they ran their mouths about voter fraud. They ran their mouths about Dominion and all that crap. And they ran a campaign in Georgia demanding that Georgia Republicans, who, let's be fair, have some legitimate questions about the law, about the propriety of how 2020 went. They have some legitimate questions. But Linwood and Sidney Powell came down here and ran a campaign to boycott the election. Right? Came down here and ran a campaign to boycott the special election, which gave the 2 seats to Warnock and Ossoff. Now we're stuck with Ossoff for another 4 years. But Warnock's up this year. He's got to go. And what happened in that special election is Republicans who had legitimate concerns, unanswered questions, did not trust that their vote counted. And so they didn't go vote. There are things we do not know. There are, people are making arguments that there's no evidence that anything went squirrely in the 2020 election. That's a false statement. It could be that all of the evidence is bad evidence. It could be the case that nothing went squirrely in the 2020 election. That's possible. But the fact of the matter is, we don't know. Any person who says that they know for certain that they can guarantee that the 2020 election was not stolen, or says that it was stolen, is saying a false thing. They do not know. It is unadjudicated and will likely remain so. But that you might have questions is not a reason to not vote. And this is what I was talking about a minute ago when I said, if this show gets booted off of YouTube over claims of voter misinformation, then the thing that YouTube will have done is not attempt to remove disinformation. What YouTube will have done, as has been proved to be a habit of YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, and all these social media platforms, vis-a-vis things like the Hunter Biden case, vis-a-vis things like promoting Stacy Abrams' claims that the election was stolen from her, things of that nature. What they will have done is election tampering and voter suppression, because what I'm telling you right now is to go and vote. Especially if you're a conservative, especially if you're a Republican, especially if you have concerns about the country we live in, if you have concerns that babies are being killed as they're being born, that people like Stacy Abrams, who, by the way, Stacy, who's running for governor again, says that Georgia is the worst state in the country to live in. Stacy, if Georgia is the worst state in the country in which to live, I invite you to move. Yeah? Just leave, bitch. You've got the money. We know you've got the money. You stole it from Georgia voters. We watched you do it. You're a criminal, and we don't want you here. If you hate it here that much, go away. And please, take your corrupt judge sister with you. Like a trash bag full of gappy teeth. Steve Point, yeah, she has 4 houses in Georgia, exactly. Get out of my state. Go commit your crimes somewhere else. And when I say that advisedly. Stacy Abrams has been embroiled in many, I want to say dozens, and I'm pretty sure that's correct, of voter scandals, of voter fraud scandals. She had several charity organizations, several nonprofits, like the ones discussed in that wonderful Dinesh D'Souza film that just came out. This is the woman that runs those organizations. And yes, Michael, she did owe the IRS money. Black activists, rich black activists have, they're real bad at taxes. And part of it is because of their black activist notoriety, the IRS just won't go after them, won't enforce the laws. And that was one of my problems with Kemp, going back to the Ahmaud Arbery case. Is I pointed out that one of the primary objectives of the terrorist organization Black Lives Matter is to create a country in which non-white, non-men, right, anything that is other than a straight white male, is allowed to commit crimes with impunity. But if you're a straight white male, things which are not crimes will be criminalized, and then additional caveats will be added, like the hate crime moniker. Oh, we have laws against hate crimes. A hate crime is effectively defined under the law as a crime committed by a white man against a non-white person. Dad points out Georgia is the best state for black business people. Ask Oprah. You know, old man, she said that in the 90s. And if we're being honest by the numbers, it is true. But I wonder if she hasn't changed her cadence on that particular point. St. Michael asks, I did not hear about that. I'll have to go look that up, Michael, but that's not what I'm talking about today. So, I'm going to go ahead and wrap this up, but here's the thing that I want you all to take to heart. You probably do and should have some legitimate concerns about election integrity broadly, generally, right? I'm not talking about the 2020 election now. I'm talking about elections in general. Right, all the way back to Tammany Hall, all the way back to the big political machines. The fact of the matter is that political corruption has and always will be a part of any system of politics. Right? That's not an indictment of the United States of America. That's an indictment of government generally. There is nothing, absolutely, without exception, there is not one thing that is done by government that is not done better without it. Not a single one. Not roads, not first responders, not even military or the conduct of war. There is not one thing that is done better by government that is done by government that is not done better without it. Period. The closest you can get is you may be able to argue that through use of force and coercion, some aspects of the conduct of war are handled cheaper by government. You might be able to make that argument. You'd be wrong, but there's room to make the argument. So, as far as whether or not your vote counts, I don't know. I honestly don't know if your vote counts. But I can say this. I also don't know that it doesn't count. Which means you cannot win if you don't play. Get up off your ass. Go vote. Cling to the hope, the possibility that the elections are free and fair. And vote despite your doubts. Because if you do not vote, if you just go ahead and assume that the other guy is going to steal it, then at the end of the day, he won't have to, because you will have given it to him. Right? If your windows are down and your door is locked and somebody reaches into your car and steals your wallet, you're covered by your insurance. If your windows are up and the door is not locked and somebody opens the door and reaches in and steals your wallet, you did not take the reasonable precaution to prevent somebody from entering your vehicle to steal your property, and you will not be covered by your insurance. That's how shit works. If you do not go and vote, you are simply surrendering. That's cowardice, and that is intolerable. TPS report says a judge in Pennsylvania is already telling them to count undated ballots. Yep. Absolutely broken. Dude, Pennsylvania, surprise, surprise, Scranton Joe's home state is just as crooked as he is. Wasn't it the PA AG Shapiro, I think his name was, that said we will continue to count ballots until we have defeated Donald Trump? I'm not actually asking. I know that's the case. Sergeant Major says purple fingers. You know what? I've got a great idea. Here's how we should start running elections. Every candidate that wants to run for any office on exactly one day, all the candidates running for that given office go to one place, and they stand on a stage, and in front of them they have a box with a lock on it. And if you want to vote for that candidate, you go up and put $1 in the box. At the end of the day, we count the dollars in the box, and the candidate with the most dollars in the box wins. Only the number of people who can get through the line to put $1 in the box get to vote. Only the $1 per person that goes in the box counts as a vote. And when everything is said and done, the money in that box is your campaign budget for your re-election. Period. No exceptions. No outside money. That's it. That would be the fairest, least corruptible system available. Now, if I had my druthers, we would just, okay, Kemp's the governor. Would you like to be the governor? Well, yes, I would. All right. Well, here's the arena, single combat. Go for it. And no, Rob Hava, you just caught the end of a stream. It's, we start at 7:30 and I was just wrapping up. And yes, I don't know where he is. He's MIA. So, Yep, 7:30. Come 7:30 Eastern Standard Time. I don't know where you are, Rob, but that's 7:30 on the East Coast. Y'all be safe out there. Thanks for tuning in. Get off your asses and go vote if you haven't already. We love you, and we will see you tomorrow.